My journey out of this valley of disease and pain and aging and all of the things that none of us seem to like. What did it take? Walking around in the valleys, looking at the mountains and just saying, what's it going to take to get there? To a world filled with nothing but purpose, understanding, and health. I had my soul mirror, and my soul mirror happened to probably be my children in a peculiar way. Because they were hikers, they were back in the backcountry climbing, and they encouraged me to get out of the valley. In that I wanted to be with them as they aged. I took a look at what they were doing. I said, I think that what I've done to this 50-year-old man is created a 70-year-old out of him. I looked bad, I was out of shape, and I started that fabulous climb up Liberty Cap and around the country. And across the bridge between Liberty and Corkscrew, I kept bumping into this fence, as you can see. My trash can and the lumber and, of course, the wire. And I had a story to tell as a person who practices naturopathic medicine. This liver became the bucket. And I'm sorry to tell you that the vast majority of people's livers in the United States pretty much resemble that, unfunctioning to the level of about 80%. And then there's the wire, which depicted our arteries and our veins and the system of delivering blood, clogged, all of those things that none of us liked. And of course, the wooden fence, the tissue, gray, moldy, not looking healthy. And you think about the amount of money that we spend as a culture to cover up the dead inside of us, trying to make ourselves not look old, buying all kinds of fancy lotions and potions to alter that, when actually life begins from inside. Therefore, healing should come in from the inside. Well, my picture, my story, I'm going to try to tell it from my son and his questioning and saying, Dad, for your 75th birthday, I want to take you climbing. Well, recognizing that, I have a terrible fear of heights, but 6 months prior to the task, I was in agreement. I don't like snakes, don't like heights, both of them just scare me to death. Well, as I looked at this wall, talked about health, I saw it in terms of putting a ladder up. There's this emotional side of health, the security that comes from it, the physical side, the spiritual side, and the financial. And these sometimes we have a ladder that doesn't reach to the top. And in my case, I began to look for people who would assist me. And I went to my son, Nate, who is a climber, who knows the way, and I could depend on him. So for this 75th birthday, he said, let's go climbing, and up this wall we went. Well, unbeknown to me, he had a friend with him, Jim Hale, from Alaska, who turns out to be, he's a guide, he's a mountaineer, he's a hang glider. He's not only that, but he's a pastor and a missionary and an author. What a combination. So here the three of us go, and we get to this wall, and we scurry up, and we get about 50 feet above the ground. And I want you to know something. I was sweating bullets. And as you can tell, it was a very, very cumbersome thing for me, because we're getting ready to go across this very narrow ledge. And he and I sit there and chatted, and I was wedged into this little crevice there, not wanting to go. And he talked to me for 15, 20 minutes, and then finally said, well, Dad, if you don't want to go, let's go down. Well, I had made this commitment. I had committed to make this trip with him. And so I said, no, we're going to go. And off we went across this ledge. Now, I want you to know it's about 30 to 40 yards across there somewhere. And I had a death hold. He had tied me in. Of course, he's scurrying with nothing tied to him. He's going back and forth and just taking care of me, and the encouragement, which really begins the story of health. You see, you got to find a partner or two that knows the ropes, that's willing to go with you and encourage you and hold you accountable. You know, keep your feet to the fire, because it is an unusual journey. So this 30 or 40 or 50 yards that we went was just the beginning. And as we started up this these cliffs, and you can see that they were vertical and the exposure was, to me, incredibly high. Well, the first thing that I noticed, well, there's my friend Jim Hale, hanging on to every moment, tying me in. And the first thing I recognized was he was really capable. I didn't realize this until we got to the top. And so we're going up, and he's encouraged me. And as Nate's taken me up, now I want you to know something. I wouldn't have done this without Nate because I trusted him. And that's the story of health. You find somebody that you can trust. You find somebody that knows the way. And that was my son. And there we have my friend Jim Hale, who I come to have an incredible friendship with. He's soaring in the mountains of Alaska. He's a climber. He's doing all of these crazy things, but he humbled himself to take these pictures and help Nate take me across. Well, as we got to the top, as you can see, this journey that I was on, it changed my outward appearance. Now, it took a couple of years and commitment and a number of trial and errors, but was it worth it? You bet, because I can tell you right now, at the age of 77, I am far healthier than I was when I was 50. And that's an encouragement. And as I looked across that valley overlooking the Grand Valley and Grand Junction, and looking up from on top of Liberty Cap, what a view. There is a restoration, and it is a return of that which had been lost. And I had lost my directions in terms of health. And the healing really begins on the inside. And that's my story. Now the question is, after you've been restored, after you've taken that time, what do you do from there? Do you return to those simple bad ways that got you in trouble before? I'm here to tell you, you shouldn't, because the liberty that I have now, free from drugs, pretty athletic, climbing, running across the mountains in my 70s, it is such a freedom. That's what we want to do for you. We want to be that point on the end of a spear, let you feed off of us, so that you too can enjoy the freedom, the liberty that I do. Thank you, Steve Wilson.